So ladies, welcome. It's good to see you. And we're here to talk about online modeling being a business. But first things first, I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves, say who you are. Go ahead and say you're at Jazzy Girl Fluff Fairy Dust, on Instagram, whatever. Go ahead and announce whatever platform you'd like people to follow you on, but just say who you are, what you do, and why you're here.
Okay, I'm Jasmine, and I go as 33 Jazzy Girl on YouTube and Instagram. And I work 3 jobs, and right now I'm just trying to hustle, to be honest. Yeah.
I like it. Hi, I'm Nikki Rue, Nikkihru, like how are you? That's my real last name. And that's my Instagram. It will be my YouTube once that starts on up. I do a lot of things, primarily in regards to social media. I model. Once the YouTube channel starts up, it'll be about the philanthropy through singing and music and dance, more of the physical arts, I guess. Other than that, I'm also a writer and an actress. So that's what I do.
You're a creative.
Yes.
Love it.
I'm Millie. My Instagram is Modern Millie. And like I said earlier down there, lifestyle blogger, content creator, influencer, model, whatever you want. I got you.
Ma'am.
I'm Cassidy Ramirez. I go by Cass Ramirez with a K. I am an intercultural communications major and a model.
Excellent. Thank you. So, we're here to talk about online modeling being a business. So what would be the most challenging thing that you face every day with your online modeling business?
I guess that's hard. That's a hard question. Can someone start it off?
I can answer it. So for me, I'm being agency signed is difficult because you have your agents and your agencies or your manager, and then you have your social media platform. So on your social media platform, you're responsible for your marketing yourself, and then your agencies are responsible for marketing you on their site with comp cards and their website and things like that, and sending you out on your castings. And when those two collide, so your self-marketing and then the marketing that you pay your agents to do, you have to kind of set the value for yourself. So if someone contacts you through Instagram and you're not signed with your agency as an exclusive contract, you have the right to book jobs outside of your agency, especially if it's because of your self-marketing. So for me, all of the marketing I do with Instagram, like staying up to date with brands and posting content, that's the work that I'm putting in. So for me to turn around and book a job and say, oh, I did all this work, I booked a job, but you're my agency, so I'm just gonna throw it over here, even though it was my self-marketing that got the job, it's difficult because if you're willing to book it yourself, you have to do the work to set the value on yourself. So you're like, I'm worth this, but the reason people message you on Instagram is to try to get it a break. They want to pay less. They're not going through an agency because they don't want to pay the agency rates. So the reason they're sliding into your DMs and saying, we'd love to use you for a shoot is because we have a budget of $100. You're like, well, I'm sorry. If I were to go through my agency, this is what would happen. So it's really difficult when a platform like Instagram or something, it opens the gateway to booking jobs, but also just setting the standard, keeping your standard, even though you're being your own agent, if that makes sense. So keeping the value of yourself with or without your agency.
Great answer. Millie?
I usually just do this. This is what I was doing all day yesterday. So for me, there's kind of 2 sides to probably the most challenging parts. One is more personal and the other is more businessy. I guess business side, we'll start there, kind of feeling like you're a prop. You're used as the pretty face to advertise the product. You're just there as a thing to photograph. And that's something that I struggle with feeling sometimes, because often people don't want to pay you because in their mind you are the prop. You're just, well, this isn't your job. We just need a pretty face. They don't think of it as like, this is a business. You're your own business. So that's something difficult that I struggle with. And then on the more personal side, like feeling of judgment from other people, which after a while you kind of just embrace and you're fine with. But at first, getting into it, it was definitely a big struggle that I went through, where I actually lost a lot of friends and mentors because they didn't really understand what I was doing. And sometimes people don't think models can be creative. So sometimes I would reach out to a photographer with an idea of like, oh my gosh, I have this awesome concept in mind. I want to do this, this, this. I have the costumes, I have the props. I just need somebody to capture this. And then we work together and it's awesome. And then they edit it and post it and they get all the credit. So it's like, wow, that photographer, they're so talented. But it's like, my brain came up with this idea and nobody knows. So it's just like, oh, the models, they're not creative, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, just people assuming you have weird intentions and you model because you think you're so into yourself and you think you're so beautiful and you're like, oh, yes, I'm so cool. But like, it's not like that at all. It's just, I'm sorry that I'm confident with myself and I love creating and people don't understand. And so I've lost a lot of friendships and mentors and people that were important in my life because of that.
Good answer. Thank you.
Fantastic answer, actually. So I gotta say, like, I agree so much with what both of you just said. Like, I feel as though the industry that we've chosen to kind of dedicate ourselves to in this aspect is full of judgment from not just people who don't get it, but people who are also in the industry. I feel like people kind of look at it and they go, oh, well, you're just lucky because you're pretty. And it's just like, well, yes, there's a pretty privilege. Like, that's a thing. But the amount of work, like, so many people in this world are genuinely beautiful. And I mean that in the most superficial way. Like, so many people are just great to look at. That's not what makes you successful on Instagram. That's not what makes you successful as a business. Yes, we are like our own product, and we're lucky in the sense that we've been given we've been born with a certain amount of that opportunity given to us, but we're the ones who made of it what we did and what we are currently making of it. And that's kind of what we're all doing. Like, everyone is dealt their cards, everyone is playing the cards that they're dealt. And I feel like on this end, our efforts are continuously undermined, or at least that's what I've experienced. And it is a lot what you were saying, and like the underpayments and just, sorry, choking on air. But it's a lot of people looking at you and just being like, well, you didn't really put in any effort, so I'm not going to pay you. Yeah. And the amount of friendships you lose, or the amount of friendships that people won't even let you start. Like, I know for me, when I go back home to Florida, it's a little different. It's different than Los Angeles or San Diego. It's weird. But when I go back home to Florida and I see, like, I was bullied a lot growing up, which I think gave me a really thick skin, which lets me handle a lot of just the negative comments and stuff you get just from being a public figure in general. Like, haters gonna hate. It happens. But when I go back home and I see kids that I went to school with and they're like, oh, so what are you doing? And I'm like, well, like, I'm modeling or I'm acting. It is that automatic just, right, so you think you're hot now. And I'm like, well, first of all, I've looked the same since I was like 14. So there was no glow up involved. But like, I'm just saying, like, anyways, but there is like this automatic judgment. And for me, I was like a neuroscience major in school. Like, I'm not dumb, and I don't think anyone who's actually successful in this industry, minus maybe like a couple people, but majority of people in this industry, like, they aren't dumb. If you're being successful, like, you're a smart businesswoman, like, you're educated, even if it's not from like a proper university, like whatever it is. But because we're the face that you see, everyone assumes that there's nothing behind it, that you can't, like you said, you can't be creative, you can't be your own agent, You're just a pretty face. And that's a really annoying obstacle to have to overcome.
Thank you.
Okay, mine is really simple, honestly, but it's more personally like to just keep going with it because Instagram is all about comparison and like people comparing themselves, and then I feel it's like so artificial. That's why I like how they brought Instagram stories to it, honestly, because you can see the real side of people, and so that's what kind of keeps me going. Yeah.
Simple yet wonderful answer.
Yeah.
All great answers, ladies. Thank you for that because they were all authentic to you. I would like to know, how much pressure do you feel? Because I think, and I'm not generalizing here, but women change their look. You know, they different nail polish, they play with their hair. But when you are a personality on Instagram, how much pressure do you feel with having to change your look or maintain the same look, and how do you deal with it?
Well, it's important, of course, to always stick to who you are as a person, of course. But I would say at the end of the day, you have to always do, of course, what makes you happy. And if you'll see that if you're going to try to be like someone, you're not going to be happy at the end of the day, if that makes sense. That's my answer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
I think the pressure to either maintain or change is completely dependent on like what your end goal is. So obviously there's branding involved, and there's a huge difference. Like if your brand is fitness, there's gonna be a pressure to stay fit. Like that's your brand. But if your brand is like lifestyle, quirky, happiness, then like changing your hair every day or doing whatever it is, like, but that has its, and I'm not like undermining it, I mean that has its own pressure. Like there is a pressure that like you have to change what you look like and you have to constantly keep things fresh. I know for me personally, this is entirely different than what I usually look like. Like my most authentic self is my black hair, and I'm naturally very tan. I have not been in the sun in a few months, guys. It's very scary. And I was doing it for a part, like for the acting side of what I do. I'm going purple next in case you guys are curious. But there is, I know this pressure for me where like part of my brand is the fact that I am healthy. Like I'm a fitness person. Like I was a personal trainer when I lived in Australia. So, oh yeah, I lived in Australia because I know you guys don't really know my life.
Oh, we're going there.
Yeah. But there is this pressure on my end where like sometimes if like right now my sister just gave birth, and while she was pregnant we had a lot of binge days because she was pregnant. So like I feel like we earned it because I put up with a pregnant person and she was making a baby. But I would feel yeah, exactly. It's fun. But I know that some like slacking off on some of my fitness routines and not eating as healthy as I usually do has like I've had days with a lot of guilt toward it, and there is that like thought in the back of my head where it's like, well, my six-pack is gone. I wonder if that's going to drop my follower count. Like it's not a prominent all the time thought, but that pressure and that it is in the back of your head where how is this going to affect my business?
Nice.
Yeah, no, I like that. Thank you. You just helped me with my next question.
Brilliant.
Okay. This is, I guess, starting off like Instagram, the pressure is very overwhelming. And until you really find who you are and know who you are, the pressure seems to lift off a little bit more. I remember writing down who is Millie and creating a list of things of like, okay, me, what do I like? Who am I? What defines me? And anytime I'm feeling pressure of changing who I am, I just look at that list. It's like, okay, is where I want to go the direction of like my soul, my being? Is that lining up with who Millie truly is? If not, then then I shouldn't go there. And if it does fall on this list of things that I feel like I truly am, then it's like, okay, then I can make this shift. This is something I love. So I guess it's trying to maintain that pressure. And when you do feel that pressure, acknowledging it and asking yourself where it's coming from, where it's going to lead you, what you're going to do with it. I guess for me, the pressure doesn't come with how do I look? How do I need to change what I look? It comes more of like, how does the picture look? So it's not like, oh, how does my hair look today? How do my nails look today? It's not changing those things, but the photograph itself and how does the photograph fit on my feed? Is this going to look good in a picture? So that's where most of my pressure falls, as opposed to changing my physical appearance, more of how the photo is being taken and edited. So that's where the pressure falls for me.
Thank you.
So I think that it lies with like the battle of like what you guys were talking about earlier, the authenticity, and then also like what people want to see. For me, I think that we're all part of this swipe right culture, meaning that there's all these opportunities and there's all of these things that we at our constant, like she was talking about her kids being on the phone, constantly we're fed all of this information of all these different people, all these different pages, all these different outlets, and it's constant information 24/7, from TVs to phones to iWatches to, everything. So like the battle of like being yourself, but also being relevant to what people want to see. For me, modeling in itself is very saturated. Instagram is also very saturated, especially being like a model on that platform. Same idea of like me going to school for journalism. Like journalism saturated because of the internet, because of media, and because now anyone can hire a freelance journalist and no one's on payroll anymore. So I think the battle of just not only being yourself, but staying relevant.
Is it okay if I just add something really quick?
Of course.
Kind of expanding on something Millie said. I think just general advice for anyone going into not just the social media side of industry, but just the industry as a whole, making that list, because I've done something similar. Actually, why I was in Australia was because I did have a moment where I really did lose myself, or I was like about to. I was like on the precipice, but I took a year off from the entire industry and traveled and volunteered and really grounded myself on the things I have a passion for outside of the industry. Doing that, not necessarily like traveling and spending all your money, but knowing who you are outside of your business and outside of your brand is so important just for your personal health. And if you're going, I need water. If you're going into this industry at all, knowing that is just incredibly important. Otherwise, you're going to burn out.
So I'm not on the level any of you guys are as far as being an influencer, but I do know that, when I'm creating my show and I was doing my show, I wanted to be authentic, but there were certain messages that I had to deliver and felt led to deliver that I knew would scare some people away. And we won't go into that here, but you can watch my show, Gratitude Unfiltered, if you'd like to learn about that. But the point is, what message do you have, or that you've wanted to share, that you've been fearful of on your platform? Like there's usually something else that we want to talk about, but it's like, I'm not political, but for people are fearful to talk politics or to say, hey, I like the president, or I don't, or you have a religious belief, or whatever. For you, each of you, what is the one thing that you want to talk about but you don't? It can be a cause, it can be anything. Because you're afraid to lose. Because you're not on social media right now. We're in real life. It's authentic, baby. So
It's being recorded, so.
Yeah, casually.
it's not on Instagram. So
Yet.
like seriously, there's something that you're holding back from talking about. I'd love to know what it is.
So for me, this isn't really what you're looking for, so I'm sorry. But I consider myself an extremely opinionated activist. I've organized marches. I've organized protests. Like, I'm very involved. I honestly spread myself a little too thin in the activist community, just because I'm just a very passionate person. I'm a Scorpio Venus, guys. I love too hard. But basically, sorry. But I know for me, I think there's nothing that I've ever been like scared of talking about, because I consider myself very moderate on most issues. So I know that it's going to bother people on both sides regardless. But I do know the things I get the most hate about is I'm very faithful. I do get a lot of hate as a Christian. By people assuming what being a Christian means. For instance, like, I'm a part of the LGBT community. So I don't think I'm going to hell, in case you guys are curious. But a lot of people, as soon as they see that I'm a Christian, as soon as they see that I'm very faithful, I pray to, like, Mary's my homegirl. As soon as they see that, they automatically, so you think all gays are going to hell? Or, like, I was raised Catholic. I'm not personally Catholic, but I was raised Catholic. So you support, like, the abuse of children in the Catholic community? And I'm just like, well, no, I really don't. Or there's issues that I don't feel like I have a right to talk about. I think my job is to uplift others to talk about it. So, for instance, I don't know the struggles of being an African American in this country. Like, I can recognize them, I can see them. I will never experience them. It's not my job, not my job, it's not my place to start discussing Black Lives Matter in the sense of preaching. It's more my place to step down and be like, hey, everyone, like, let's be quiet and listen to people who actually know what they're, like, talking about, because they live it every day. So I think that's more the line that, like, is harder for me to walk, is stepping down from my opinions.
That's that's exactly the answer I was looking for, in the sense that it was true to you. Who would like to go next? You.
Me?
Yes. Yes, the one that has so much to say, but she holds back. I can feel it in you. What is it? What is your message?
But there's like a lot of stuff, honestly, because like there's like dark sides, of course. No one wants to show like stuff you go through, or like, I don't know, like personal
What is
issues.
yours? What is yours? The thing that you like, I feel led to talk about this, but I'm not talking about it because I'm going to lose followers, or I'm worried about judgment. I'm worried about pushback. What is the one thing that you're holding back from? One. You said a lot, so pick one. It should be
so
easy.
Many, I can't even begin. I don't know. For instance, like the blogging community, because I get involved in a lot of blogging events, and I go to blogger like seminar stuff, and I notice everything is so cliquey, and it hasn't changed since high school, honestly. I'm just saying the truth. Like I go to events and everyone's in like different circles. I mean, of course you're gonna hang out with people that you know, but no one gets to know other people. Like I don't see interaction or like people wanting to get to know people, if that makes sense. Yeah, but that's my little thing.
I'm going to pick on you again. Next.
So for me, we'll do this again because it's a medium-sized answer. For me, I guess something that I have not shared with my followers yet is what I went through to be modeling and on Instagram, and the struggles of that with my personal life, kind of tagging on to, I was raised Christian, and when I did start modeling, I got a lot of hate from people from my church and mentors that I went to the same church my entire life, born and raised, and when I did start modeling and being more expressive of myself, I got a lot of hate from people I looked up to and friends from church and mentors, and that was really hard because what I was taught was how like Christianity, it's like a relationship with God. It's not religious. It's not these rules. It's to show unconditional love. And I was receiving conditional love. So they were only going to love me if X, Y, and Z. And that was really hard because that wasn't what I thought Christianity was. So it's hard for me now to say I'm a Christian because I don't want not because I don't want to say I'm a Christian, but because I feel like it's so skewed now to where I believe love is so powerful. It doesn't matter who the person is, doesn't matter where they are in their life, but loving somebody is so powerful no matter who it is. And if I say I'm a Christian, people don't believe that right away. They're like, oh, but you're a Christian, so you don't really love everybody. But because of what I've experienced, it's like, okay, I love God. I was taught that Christianity is a relationship with God. Me and God are chill. We talk, we're fine. The relationship is there. So if you guys don't trust that I'm maintaining my relationship with God, then something's up there with your personal life. I'm going to continue living my life and being chill with God and loving Him and loving people. And that's just something I haven't shared, not because I'm scared, but because I don't want to hurt the people who hurt me. I don't want to bag on them. I don't want to add to the misconceptions of Christianity, and I don't want my story to bag on Christianity. I don't know how to phrase it yet to where it's respectful, and because there's still like hurt and there's still anger, so I don't want to share it without
Coming from a place of love.
yeah. So that's me.
Hey, by the way, good. You. Okay. Next.
I feel like, so mine's a little opposite, but going off of what both of you said with the religion thing, my father's from Guadalajara, so it's very traditional, like Catholic religion. And then on the other side, my mom's Baptist, Missouri, Midwest, so very religious on both sides. My mom and my dad are great. They're so supportive. I do mainly swimwear modeling, and a couple months ago, I posted a photo of a swimwear shoot, and my aunt in Ohio, so, middle America, where I'm from Missouri, so I get it. She started a family group chat.
It is the show me state.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Oh, there we go. I should have followed up with that. No. So there was a family group chat started by my aunt in Ohio because the swimwear photo was posted. And she wrote on the photo on Instagram and said, "You're a loved child of God. You're more than this." And I was like, ugh. So, and I consider myself Christian. I was raised very Baptist. I mean, like, my mom was head of choir and my grandfather was a pastor. So I grew up very religious. But it was fun because my aunt and I, when she came to visit, had a conversation that, yeah, like, I can wear a swimsuit and be a Christian. I can post a picture in a swimsuit and still be a Christian and show up to church on Sunday. So that I've had a similar experience with that. But on the opposite side, I'm actually going to reverse the question because I was sharing things that my agency didn't want me to share. So I was posting photos with my nieces, like, oh, me and my niece and this and that, or traveling and all of these things that make me me. And my agency pulled me in one day and said, like, great, you went to Europe to see your family. That's so lovely, but no one cares about that. And I was like, ouch. So I was like, okay. And then she's like, and your niece? Yeah, she's cute, but guess what? Your followers don't really care about your niece. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Which makes me, I guess I don't want to share my niece with a bunch of people I don't know anyway, but here's the thing. That's what makes me is traveling and like my family. And it was hard to like hear someone I kind of respected and someone I look up to in the industry to tell me, like, stop sharing your travels, stop sharing your family, and just post more photos of you. And I'm like, oh, in a narcissistic world, yeah, that'd be perfect. But I'm like, I want to show what made me me. So it was kind of interesting to like share too much and like have someone who kind of like holds the reins in a sense of your job to like kind of alter what you're sharing and what you're not. Let's hope she doesn't know.
I appreciate those answers, all of them, because I get it. Because as someone that puts themselves out there at the risk of alienating. I mean, you guys sit at the table, you heard what I talk about. like I do that on my show and it gets crazier. But I do it in the spirit of authenticity, and also because I think that people do need to hear truth. It allows you to find your tribe, and you find the people that you identify for, realizing that our messages are not going to be for everybody. And that pressure of, I'm an influencer, like speaking of you guys, and like but then how much truth do I reveal? How much do I really show of myself? Because that can be scary. Like in your case, you're talking about your agency. If the agency told me I couldn't post something of my family or talk about what I want to talk about, I would say, screw you. And if CBS called and offered me a TV show and said, yeah, but you can't say that you love Jesus or you've been in jail 6 times or you can't talk about any of that stuff.
Is that true?
I'd say, screw you. Yes, it's true. Right. Right.
I have student
Right,
loans.
but
people.
but I want to challenge you, CBS. I'm still stuck on this from the conversation earlier. But there's still a way that you can be authentic, you can be true, you can speak your truth, and still have that be your business. You can. You don't have to conform to what CBS says because CBS is a dying model, right? So I appreciate your answer very much. Like, it's extremely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I agree with you that, like, yes, as a business, you can be authentic to yourself. I know for me, like, I have a very mean sense of humor. Not toward everyone, just toward the world.
I'm pretty
But-
ornery too.
But like, so I know for me, like, I have captions all the time. Like, I had one that was like, when you think you're bad girl Riri, but really you're a knockoff Taylor Swift. Like, I make fun of myself all the time. But there is a line, like, while you want to be like as authentic as you can, and I'm not saying like change yourself for your business, but I am saying be mindful, because like we all have ugly parts and we all have ugly thoughts. I know like half my family, very Southern. Some of them have ideologies that I am not too proud of. But being raised with some of those thought processes, like there are initial thoughts that I have sometimes that are incorrect and that are wrong. And like my authentic self may not be those thoughts, but if I'm just like, oh, well, it's just my authentic self, I'm going to Twitter everything. Like that's you. It's a very dangerous game to play when you're just like, well, it's just me, love me or hate me, bye. Like you have, sorry, I make voices. But you do have to like keep a line when it's a business, just like to add on to what you were saying.
Oh, I'm somebody that will napalm anything. So I mean, I just because that's what I feel. If I feel led to torch the bridge, I'm going to torch the bridge. Like I probably just killed my chances of ever being on CBS. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just it's how I feel. But that's also how for my brand, I want my brand to be that guy that will tell his truth, because someone out there needs to hear it. And it's different because you guys are all doing different things. And so like I really loved all of your answers. Audience, does anyone have a question?
I have a question, but I also have a statement. I think they can hear me. You guys can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know if
You
they can.
project well.
So I've done modeling, I've done acting, I'm a professional belly dancer, so I know about entertainment. Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Definitely all that kind of stuff. And then it's like wherever I want to go, I take action and go there. You know what I mean? So it's like I still dance, but I'm hosting, which is awesome. I just got promoted. Now I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, so my statement that I just wanted to share, because I've had a journey of modeling through, like I said, the acting, deciding like what I want to do, and I have my mentor too, who's a dance mentor, and I guess I do want to ask a question, but my statement or like my what I want to share with you is no matter what it is that you want to do and be, like go after it. Don't wait for somebody. That's just who I am. Don't wait for somebody to find you. You tell them who you are and you go after what you want.
Amen.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Just go, I want this job, I want this. You go to their door, you keep asking them, whatever it is, you get specific on what you want, and you go after it because you are. It's saturated like in any market we are. There's so many dancers, there's so many models, there's so many actors. You have to make a statement and you have to keep knocking on the door, and you need to decide what it is and go after it, because otherwise people just keep swiping. There's so many faces. Just go after what you want and you'll achieve whatever you want to achieve as long as you take action.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
I think she had a question.
Oh, she had a question too. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
For you guys, yeah, because, I've wasted time just waiting, so I'm like, don't waste time.
Yeah.
Do you make money off the Instagram, or do you make money off opportunities from Instagram?
Oh, that's a good
Someone
question.
answer. I'll answer really quickly.
Anyone.
So, for me, I want to be very, very careful that I stay a model also outside of Instagram, and more what I use Instagram for is just to represent what I'm doing. So a lot of my work is out in the there, and then I just showcase it on my Instagram. So I'm very careful about doing sponsored posts or anything like that unless it's a product that I've used. So I'll do if people send me swimwear and I love it, I'm like, oh yeah, I love my swimwear, blah blah, things like that. Or but I'm very careful not to just for me personally, I know you guys say you do the blogger stuff. For me, I haven't crossed into that threshold, and I'm trying not to. I want to stay just modeling and just using my Instagram basically as a representation of what my modeling, what I'm doing in modeling, rather than being more blogger style. I get a lot of free product, but I try not to do paid posts. I get all of my income from actually doing modeling, photo shoots, whether it be commercial, print, things like that. If that answers your question.
Would you like to answer that?
Oh, do you want all of us to answer it, or just a summary? Did
Do
you
you
want?
want each of us, or is
If you want to, if you feel called to.
I guess real quick. I guess it depends on where you want to go. So I know for Cass, she's solely model, and of course, so and then for me, my end goal is not to be the next Gigi Hadid, so it just depends. She's a model.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. I do take sponsored posts occasionally. I want my feed. What is it? There's there's a 2 out of 10 rule or something. For every 10 posts, maybe 2 of them are sponsored. So I try to keep my feed as me as possible, and then for brands that I truly love and I've tested the products and they want to pay me to post, then yes, I'll totally gladly do that.
I just kind of it's mainly just to promote myself. My main income, especially before I left, because now there's some rebuilding since I've been gone, but my main income was from acting and modeling gigs that I had, and Instagram was always a bonus. So having a high follower account, it's always nice for people to be oh yeah, so I have this product, I want to sell this product. Hey, you're really pretty and would look good with this product. Bone structure complements the product. But also, oh, you have heaps of followers on Instagram. Now when you post about this shoot, I'm getting extra publicity. So it just makes me more sellable. I'm more valuable to be hired because I have a bigger audience to be I enjoyed this product. Do you like this product, audience? That's...
It's also silly when I think about it. Anyway, what about you?
If I
I
genuinely
started
like the
modeling when
product,
I was really
obviously.
young. So I started making money, but then I turned it into more of a hobby, something I really like to do. And now I do a lot of collabs and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
All right. That's our time, unfortunately. Ladies, thank you so much
Yeah,
for being honest
thank
and letting
you.
me pick on you.